Well, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when you let frustration get in the way of progress, you end up slowing down on your projects. And that's pretty much what I've done with this 88 Thunderbird. Let me show you what I was working on the last time. In the last video, I was working on the rear end, and I was trying to get rid of that because I need to get access to the body and a lot of the frame rails. The problem that I ran into is this lower control arm and the two bolts that go to it are like frozen in there, and I was completely unable to get them out. So I was having a long day, I guess, and I got super frustrated and I stepped away. I pretty much ended the video there. So now I'm back on it, and in the last week or so, I've done a couple of little things just to make sure that there's a little bit of momentum. I disconnected the emergency brake or e-brake. I also disconnected on the other side. There's that hose that runs from the body to the differential. For the brake lines, I disconnected that. Those ended up not being too bad. I don't know why I didn't do them the last time, but I guess, you know, it got away from me. I was literally like so close to getting this off. But what I ended up having to do, as you can see, I actually did get it off now, but I only got this section off, which is connected to the differential. I ended up having to cut any of the excess bolt off. And obviously, because this is a bit thicker, it's almost like an 1/8 of an inch or a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch. And I drilled in to get past this part here, so that way it would allow it to fall. I did it on both sides. However, this side was a little bit more difficult because it had the bolt head, which made the bolt a little bit difficult to cut because I couldn't just slice right into it. Like this side, I just went through and it popped right off. So like I said, I just drilled this out, and eventually with a pry bar and all that, just wiggling, trying to shove this out of its place, it finally fell. I think I must have worked on this thing, just this bolt here, for about an hour. Not sure if I widened these two spaces here and it fell out, but I'll have to do some checking and bring them in a little bit once I put it back together. I'm gonna have to look for some new rubber bushings and stuff like that, because this thing is literally rust welded itself into its space, and I'm sure it's the same for the one that is way up here. But now that that's completely disconnected, what I'd like to do now is just kind of move it back, show you what I have to deal with under there, and maybe do a few little odds and ends just to kind of make sure that something is happening on here and make sure that this doesn't stagnate too much. I also do need to take some measurements just to make sure that what I'm going to purchase to do some of the repairs will be okay. So technically on this side, which is the torque box and then the frame, this is the best side. It is, however, really rusty and will need to be cut out and replaced at some point. But the other side is even worse than that. Here's the underside of what we just looked at. It's on the passenger side, but like all the holes are filled with large amounts of rust. I just don't have confidence in this, and basically I just want to cut it out and redo it all. And here's the bad side. As you can see, well, my hand should not be able to go in there. This is the frame, and it should pretty much go all the way over there, and there should be a piece down here, but it's completely gone. The torque box, or at least the lower connecting what's it called, rod, whatever, is supposed to go pretty much right in here, and that is totally gone. I mean, look, I can move this no problem. It's completely disconnected from the body. Actually, why don't I just break it out, because it's got to go anyway. Anyway, but that's what it looks like. There's not much in there. It's completely falling apart, and you can't drive with that. Here's the underside, or the front side. As you can tell, this is the frame. This is how strong it is. It's completely gone. So this requires pretty much a huge replacement, weld job, whatever you want to call it, frame job, to get it back into working condition. And here's the underside, really just to show you the kind of stuff that's been falling. And I mean, this is not everything, because I've come in here a few times and some of it has been pulled away with me. If you guys watched some of the previous videos, you'll see that the exhaust was just full of it inside of it. So just to give you an idea of what was going on. So a basic rundown of the plan really is to replace this whole frame member. There are a lot of little pieces that get connected to it, and I'll probably just build my own custom stuff. It's not overly thick material, so my welder can handle it. It's just literally about all the little placement of certain little things. Some stuff can probably go, some stuff can stay. They were maybe part of options, or part of the Fox body line, and they were there for a Mustang. At this point, I don't know. But what I do know is that I'm going to work on this side first, keep the other side as intact as possible. I'm going to strip it down from where it begins in here and go all the way down here to where the bumper is. Well, where you see that block of wood kind of thing. That's where I'm going to go. I'm going to end up having to take a lot of measurements and stuff to get that out, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. Honestly, I've never done this before, so the chances of making a mistake are pretty high, so I got to take my good time with it. Maybe I'll do some coilovers or something like that. I'm not really sure at this point. I like the look of coilovers. I don't like this independent coil which rests somewhere around here and then having the strut there. It's just a personal preference. Eventually, at some point, what's going to happen is that I'm going to have to do a lot of the floor pans and stuff like that, because I'm not going to be able to make this nice of an arch. But it looks like the only point that I really have to worry about in terms of suspension and movement is about here, because this is where the differential or the axle is going to end up striking if it ever compresses that much. So that's really the only danger spot, kind of in this area here. But I think I'll do fine. I'll do a lot of research before I get into that. I want to pick up the steel, which I can hopefully get maybe within the next week, and get to cutting some of this stuff out and getting an idea of where I have to go. Like I said before, it's going to be a bit of a slow process. In terms of the engine right now, where I stand is I'm missing the gaskets for a lot of the intake area. I don't know why, but it's been the hardest part to actually get. I'm at the moment trying two different sources. I might end up adding a third, I don't know. I do have the gaskets for, I think, all of the exhaust side and the breather part. So depending on what happens, I may end up just building this side up and then waiting for that. I'd like to do everything all at once, because then I can do a kind of will it run video and get that all done right away, which will allow me to focus on the back a lot more. So for the sake of just getting something done, I'm probably just going to remove that bracket here, because that's not the original one. I do have another one, and I want to remove this fiberglass bumper, because that fiberglass kind of gets on you when you're working on it, and gets on your clothes and your gloves and whatever, and it just gets pretty itchy. So I'd like to get that out of the way. So I'm going to do that. Well, I was going to install this original one, but I figured that since the bumper is off, that I might end up banging into it and kind of bending it out of shape. So I'm actually just going to leave it off and keep it in the car. But that's it for this. I'm going to actually go and check something inside where the engine is and see if I'm missing any parts. All right, the last time I was here, I did take out the AC. So I got the right tool, at least I think it is. It worked anyway. It's one of these little special tools to go in around the clamp that's positioned here, and it helps to remove it. Now I removed these two, they weren't connected to anything, and the AC was already open to the atmosphere when I got to it. Now this was dangling here before. It had the bolts kind of in position, so I just kind of placed it there. It's a little loose. It's not really that important right now for me to get it quite straight. I also loosely fitted the manifold and the turbo just because I kind of wanted to position it, see if there was anything that I was missing. I already found something. This is some aftermarket oil line that they were going to use on the turbo that they were trying to boost in here. But as I mentioned before, all I'm trying to do is just bring it back to stock and get this engine back up and running. This line is just supposed to connect here, so I need a fitting, but I got to figure out what the threads are for that and then get just an adapter for it, and basically a male end. And so far on that part, I think that's all I'm missing. I'm going to just check out what those threads are and move on to maybe testing some other parts. Also forgot to mention that this is the oil return. The other one is the feed, and this bracket is too big. This is also an aftermarket piece. I'm not sure if I can get an adapter or something that I can use to just reuse this oil line, or if I'm going to have to get the original line, which I have, but the thing is it's jammed. Like this nut and the hose, for example, they're rusted into each other. I'm going to work on it for a little bit and see if I can get that undone, but I don't know how successful I'm going to be on that, but we'll find out later. So I went ahead and put in all the pieces that I had for the exhaust and at least the beginning of the air intake, all the way up to the intercooler, which is what is underneath that cardboard there. It's just to protect the fins. So as you can see, I got the air box below, right down there, just underneath this bracket here. That's the airflow sensor or meter, kind of one of those little flap things that detects how much air is passing through, which then connects down to the air inlet of the turbo and then shoots out into the intercooler and then out into the actual throttle body. Now I've been looking at this and I'm pretty sure I might be missing a couple of pieces. It looks like there's a bracket that's supposed to go here. There might be one on the other side, but I didn't quite check yet. A couple of things I was paying attention to, or at least looked at, well, if I can move this hose, there we go, is this here and this over here. I'm not quite sure where they attach. I'm wondering if this one, which is on the intercooler, might go down to one of those. I'm not 100% sure. And on the intercooler there is this guy too. Oop, the sun's kind of blocking everything. There's this guy here too, so I'm not sure where that goes. And then on the turbo, if you look way down there, this guy is also there. So again, not sure what that's all about. And way down here, right off of where it goes from the air filter to the airflow meter, there's this guy here too. So again, not 100% sure where those go. For now, pretty much that's what I wanted to do to kind of figure out what I have to do on the exhaust and airflow side of it. I know that I'm missing this coupler here. Got to figure out that thread issue and then that oil return line. And I think that's pretty much where I'm at on this side. I seem to have all the other pieces that go there. I'm maybe missing a couple of clamps, but that's kind of normal at this point. But I'm happy with that kind of result, at least for now. I'm looking forward to getting the gaskets and this thing all put back together. Anyway, patience, and like I said before, the motto, find parts, and find parts. Well, look guys, I'm sorry I couldn't actually provide a bit more content in this video. It's been a bit of a weird week for me, I hope you understand. We all go through things in life, but there is one lesson to be learned in this video, and that is to work on your projects even when you get frustrated. I'm not saying right after you deal with your frustration, take a break, take a breather, reassess, and then come back to it, because they ain't gonna work on themselves. But regardless, I'm still happy with kind of the little test fit that I did right now, and it gave me an idea of what I was missing and what I need to figure out at the same time. So I'll get to ordering those little pieces that I need. Hopefully that brings me one step closer. Like I said before, still waiting on some gaskets for the entire intake side. Hopefully that comes in sooner than later. I might look at other resources, but at this point, I'm getting kind of tired. I just want to get it done, but I'll keep looking. So on that note, thanks for watching. Take it easy.